This is the SHIB coin 1 month overview reading for the month of January 2024. It's currently November 27, 2023, 7:54 p.m. Eastern Time. SHIB coin at the time of this reading is currently 0.0000818. That's 5 zeros after the decimal point, followed by an 818, and that's USD. The shuffle video for the January reading was created on October 25th, 2023 at 2:11 p.m. Eastern Time. That's this video here in the corner. So the overall theme and behavior throughout January is multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance. Usually with the interference card, it's the same resistance, and you fail to break through multiple times. It's crossed with a brief peak that's easily missed, followed by a decline through multiple support levels. And there's really like, I'm picking up on like a market-wide decline somewhere around the 12th, 13th. We'll talk about that more as we progress through the reading. Behavior around the high side, we have a notable move to reach the high, notable move higher to reach the highest high for the month of January. Usually when you see it in the high position, it's like a gap up into the high. Usually when you see the adjustment card in the high correlator position, it's like a gap up. And then behavior around the lowest low, we have a rally into a key resistance level on a multi-day scale, followed by a decline with consecutively lower spikes up on the way down. And usually with the strife card, those spikes up will meet moving averages in bearish formation as their resistance, and then you continue lower. Before we go any further and get into the day-by-day chart behavior as well as the prominent highs and lows throughout the month, I want to make sure everybody's aware the whole purpose of the channel is to transmute some of the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill. Hi. And you do that by following the rule of karma for the channel. That's the unwritten agreement between the universe and anybody utilizing this information for personal gain. The universe has no problem with people utilizing this information for personal gain as long as it's part of simultaneously helping other people. Make sure to follow that rule of karma. Whenever you're profitable on a trade, go to resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders. And 5% of the profits should be donated forward to one of these charities. 5% of the profits should be donated back to the channel here through one of these links. That effectively transmutes competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill, successfully accomplishing the whole goal of the channel. It also guarantees abundance mentality and gratitude mentality. Make sure to spend that 90% left over out of love. As long as you follow those rules, you follow the rule of karma for the channel, the universe considers you an angel investor. It's going to send it back to you tenfold. Neglect to follow through, the universe will neglect to follow through as well. First off, before we get into the day-by-day chart behavior, I want to make sure everybody understands. These cards each represent a day of time. They're numbered above the card, basically the date that it represents, but not each card's energy will line up perfectly with one day of time, so you have to understand that the sequence of events will be 100% accurate. Sometimes the timing is plus or minus a day, occasionally plus or minus 2 days. Pushing it, I don't like 2 days, that's kind of like a bad reading for me. The majority of the time it'll be right on point. But remember to give it plus or minus 1 day of wiggle room and follow the sequence of events in cases where it's off by a day or so. Sequence of events will keep you on track. On the first, we have a notable decline where we will revisit a support level that I recently met once before. There's a day trade opportunity, most likely a day trade opportunity there on the first. It could be too, like the closing of a swing trade and opening of another swing trade, but we'll look into that in more detail in the paid version. There's a prominent peak or high here that'll stand out on a 1 month chart on the second, third, probably on the second, but it could be the third. I think probably the second, and then on the third we have a sideways fluctuating decline into a trough late in the day. Looks like we go even lower, like a decline through multiple supports on the fourth, into a prominent trough on a 1 month chart scale, and then we do sideways fluidity on the fifth, which is really like a sideways chart price action. So you might do like a big swing, you might do a narrow swing, but either way you kind of end up sideways. On the sixth, we have a bit of a rally out of a trough early in the day, most likely early in the day, like revisiting a trough from the fourth. We have a crest towards the end of the day that we sell off from, down to and through support to break through another support, and then we do a U-shaped reversal, come back and reuse that price level as support. And it's an important support level there on the 7th. It'll be important on at least a 1 year chart. And there could be a sharp drop there as well. There may or may not be, it's hard to say, but there's a lot of price change on the 8th. And I think we probably end up to the downside there, and then there's an unexpected move higher on the 9th, possibly to a prominent crest. A sideways rotation on the 10th. Looks like we have a trough early in the day. We go from a trough early in the day on the 10th into another prominent peak there on the 11th that'll stand out on a 1 month chart. Sharp drop on the cusp of the 11th, 12th through multiple supports, then a failed attempt to break through key resistance around the 13th, followed by a decline through key support. And it's a key resistance. It may be the resistance that we see on the 11th, like revisited, and it looks like we're going to break through. Hard to say, but there's a resistance level there on the 13th that it'll look like chart behavior will make us expect to see it break through, but instead it turns around and it declines through key support. And it's usually support that had something to do with the expectation of why we would go through resistance. So it's like a disappointment. On the 14th, we have a notable decline. I think there's probably like a market-wide decline of some kind here. There's some sort of, there's like a sharp drop here market-wide in stocks and crypto, I'm seeing. It surrounds the 13th. We have a peak on the 5th that we sell off from pretty notably. There's a day trade opportunity on the 14th and the 15th that I'll talk about in more detail in the paid version. Guys, you know what you get in the paid version? Aside from just the chart behavior by the day and the overall theme and all that, you also get the timing of the highest high and the lowest low, any price level information we're able to extrapolate. You get the best trades that we see throughout the month, as well as what to look for as far as chart behavior for entry and exit points. You get any trade information relevant on a multi-month scale or a multi-year scale, and then you get comparative performance of shitcoins and Bitcoin throughout the same January time period. All of that in the paid version. It's really a great way to support the channel. If you utilize the shitcoin reading regularly, it's really the right thing to do. It's invaluable information, and we know the names of everybody that goes ahead and subscribes to these monthlies because they're the core foundation of financial support for the channel. Without them, we wouldn't be able to accomplish our mission and our goals and put out this content. So thank you to everybody that does that. The way that you get the paid version, you go to our website, tarotfortraders.com, hover over our services, click on SO Meta Posts, scroll down the monthly subscription, click here to order, and then you're subscribing to SHIB obviously. If you're interested in any of these other tickers or cryptos, we have a paid version of any of these symbols as well as Amazon, Google, and Nvidia. I highly recommend the 30 days access to all paid because that gets you paid access to all of these videos, and it's only only way you get Amazon, Google, and Nvidia's paid version as well. Thanks again to everybody that goes ahead and does that. Let's get back into it. All right, so let's take a look at November and see how we're doing thus far. All right, so that Ace of Wands was a prominent peak, but not a highest high. We didn't have it as a highest high. We had a prominent peak and a prominent trough in there, so that's all right. On the 7th, we had a lowest low. Looks like it was pretty close. Lowest low thus far, and then we have a prominent peak around the 8th, 9th. Looks like it ended up being on the 10th, 11th. So we're plus or minus 1 to 2 days, depending on how you look at it, which 2 days is really bad compared to our average accuracy. And we're going to leave this reading up anyways because we've got nothing to higher. Accuracy is insane. This reading's still pretty solid aside from us off by 2 days on this highest high. We got the second highest high on the 15th, ends up being the 16th, and then we revisit it on the 18th. It ends up being on the 17th. Then we have that unicursal drop in between those two second highest highs on the 16th. There's that sharp drop there. That was a pretty solid sharp drop, unicursal energy. There was another one around the 23rd. Ended up being on the 22nd. We had it for the 23rd. And that Ace of Cups ended up being a lowest low. And then it looks like we'll most likely revisit a sharp drop on the 30th, and we most likely revisit the same low, if not a lower low, as what we had here on the 22nd, 23rd. I'd give this like this is probably in like the the high 80s. When Sarah gets the review, we'll know for sure, but my guess is that this is probably in the high 80s as far as accuracy, which is really bad for us. But with that said, let's get back into it. The prominent peak on the 15th that we sell off from pretty notably, through it'll be a sharp decline. On the 16th, there's some sort of tricky chart behavior there that's intended to cause misdirection or like an impulsive decision. There's a support near the low. I think we have some sort of fake out around that support there on the 16th, but there's a trade opportunity. On the 17th, there's a trade opportunity in the midst of price swings. And then on the 18th, we have a prominent trough on a 1 month chart scale again that'll stand out. And towards the end of the day, there's a trade opportunity out of a decline. On the 19th, we have a big move from the bottom of the range to the top of the range, and then a pop and drop on the 20th that creates another prominent peak or crest on a 1 month chart scale. A lower peak or crest on the 21st in the midst of a rally, higher offering trade opportunity, and there's likely a day trade opportunity there. I'll talk about it in more detail in the paid version. Another crest or peak on the 22nd, and there's an important range on a multi-day scale that's highlighted there. We have a prominent trough towards the end of the day, or on the cusp of the 22nd, 23rd, and another rally out of that trough offering trade opportunity, probably a day trade opportunity there as well. On the 25th, a lot of volatility and a peak or crest towards the end of the day. A fast sudden move higher on the 25th, a trade opportunity at the end of the day of the 24th, and then another prominent trough early in the day on the 26th, out of which we have a rally that increases with the momentum moving forward in time. Big move right around the cusp to the upside, right around the cusp of the 26th, 27th. Failed attempt to break to key resistance on the 27th, followed by a decline through key support, another trough there on the 27th, and then that decline continues into the 28th. Likely a reversal there and a notable, a prominent peak or crest at the end of the day on the 28th. A rally along a diagonal trend line on the 29th that ends with a fast sudden move higher, and then a breakdown through that diagonal trend line with increasing volatility on the way down. An important price level highlighted on the 30th. That'll be important on a one-year chart scale minimum, and then a sideways fluctuating rally on the 31st that precedes a decline. On February, there's a decline that ends with a fast sudden move higher as the sneak preview that we'll be looking into, and I'll talk about February in more detail in the paid version. But that's SHIB coin for January, my friends. If you like this content, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. It really helps out the channel. As always, make sure to follow that rule of karma. You know where to go. You know what to do. Blessings to all my angel investors. I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay tuned if you got the paid version.